Hello. Recently I posted on Facebook Home Assistant group about my new Apple Watch integration with Home Assistant, and seems like many of you were interested in knowing how to do that. So here is my attempt to create video tutorial to show how you can create complications for Apple Watch that are integrated with Home Assistant. First, let's take a look at what's going on my watch. As you can see, a lot of going on here. And actually it's pretty hard to see what time is it now. Luckily, you don't need to overcomplicate your watch face that much if you don't want to, and you can go with some more sensible options. Actually, most of these complications that you can see here, they are coming from a bunch of different apps. And the one that we are interested in, the one that is integrated with Home Assistant, is this one in the top left corner. So it shows three different icons and a gauge. First icon on the left, the man in red t-shirt, it shows who is present at home now. So currently I'm the only adult present at home and my wife is out. So it shows just me here. If my wife would be at home, there would be two people shown there. The second icon shows the state of my home, and I have states like morning, day, evening, night. And currently you can see that coffee represents that this is morning. Finally, there is a warning sign which suggests that I need to take certain action manually. So usually that means that I need to replace battery or update my Home Assistant or something like that. And finally, the gauge at the bottom shows how many packages I'm expecting today. So I'm expecting 2 packages and none of them were delivered yet. So let's take a look how you can create watch complication yourself. In order to do that, you need to use Home Assistant iOS app. So I open the app, I go to the menu and scroll down to the app configuration. Then I select Apple Watch, and here are all the different complications that I already created. And the one that I have been just showing you is this graphic corner gauge text one. But let's take a look how we can create a new one, and we'll start with some more simple complication first. So I click Add, and here there are all the different complications designs that are available. It's pretty easy to get lost here, so my suggestion is to carefully read this text at the bottom. So for example, here it says that the circular small complications are used with color watch face. So you know when you will be designing your watch face, this complication is the one that is go with watch face that is called color. Alright, so let's create this one. Here there are several parameters that we can set. First of all, the name of the complication, let's call it test. And then there is a template. Again, there are quite a few different options here. Let's start with the simplest one, which is simple image. So this complication will display just one single image, and if you tap on it, it will open Home Assistant app on Apple Watch. So here you can select your icon. Let's pick, I don't know, some random one, and you can pick the color for your complication. And that's basically everything you can do. So now click Save. It's also very important to go back to the settings and click Done and exit menu, because otherwise there is a chance that your new complication will not sync with Watch app. So that's something that you need to do every time you update your watch face, when you update your complication. All right, let's now go to the Watch app and see what we can do. So currently I have just one single watch face, which is infograph, so that's the one that I was showing you at the beginning. However, we created a complication for the color watch face, so let's find it here. We scroll down to color. Okay, here it is. So I guess here is the one that we are interested in, right? Because it has some complications in the corner. So we select it and we click Add. And I've got new watch face in my gallery. Now let's take a look if we can find the complication that I just created. So we can scroll down. Here is a different complication. So we have top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. So let's configure top right complication. Now we need to scroll to find our Home Assistant one. So a little bit down, Home Assistant test. All right, here it is. So we select the complication, and you can see, so that's the one that we created. Let's go back and let's see how things look like on the Apple Watch. So here is my new color watch face. So if I activate the watch and if I click on our Home Assistant icon, okay, here we go. We've got Home Assistant app open and I have a couple of actions here. All right, let's try something a little bit more interesting this time. So we go to the Home Assistant app, go to the menu, app configuration, Apple Watch, and let's create another circular small complication. Let's call it T2. And let's go with ring text design. So ring text design can show a little bit of text that will be encircled in the ring that shows progress of certain variable. So for example, in my case, I'm showing how many parcels were delivered today out of how many I'm expecting. So I put text inside the ring, and then I need to put the value that represents how much the ring should be filled now. And this is a value between 0 and 1. I will put 0.7, so this means the ring will be 70% filled. All right, let's save, go back to settings, done, out of the menu, and let's see how things look like in our Apple Watch app. So we go to the watch face. Let's replace top left complication now. So we need to scroll down to Home Assistant. Here is our T2 complication. Let's select it, and it shows high encircled in a ring. Okay, so let's start now pulling some data from the Home Assistant. So let's open the app, go to the complications, and let's modify our T2 complication to show some data from the Home Assistant. So let's take a look at what kind of sensor I have. Let's pick the simplest one for now, updater sensor. So this sensor shows whether I have any updates pending. Currently I do. So this sensor is called binary sensor.updater. So let's go and modify text to use the value of this sensor. So here I can put, instead of static template, just standard Jinja2 template that refers to Home Assistant variables. So I start with curly brackets, then I put states dot binary sensor dot updater dot state and closing brackets. Now I can click preview output and I can see on here, right? So this value was already pulled from the Home Assistant backend. All right, let's go and see how things look like in Watch app. So I go to my watch face, select T2, but you can see that nothing is updated here. And that's pretty common situation. So most likely you won't see this kind of updates reflected in the Watch app, but you should be able to see it on the Apple Watch themselves. So my watch still show high now, but if I do a little bit of refreshing, for example, by opening the app and then closing it, okay, here we got on state. Okay, and finally, now emoji time. So we can go back to our T2 complication. And now let's replace just vanilla sensor state with emojis. So I will go and modify this template. So instead of just showing the state, I will put here conditional. So if state equals to on, then I will show certain emojis. So for example, let's say I will show hi emoji, and then and else I will show certain, oops, I type else, then else I will show some other type of emoji. So for example, sad, like this. All right, let's close our if statement and if, and then a little bit more typing and we can do preview output now. Okay, so we've got hi emoji. Now let's see if we modify our updater sensor. So we do updater, we will artificially change state to off, and let's do preview output now, and we can see sad emoji. And let's look at my watch now. So currently it still shows text, but then a little bit of refreshing, it actually refreshed just exactly when I was trying to click on it, but now you can see that emoji is there. Okay, so now it's time to explain how exactly I did the complication I have. But first, just to quickly refresh what this complication is showing. So the complication is showing first who is at home, what state the home is in, and it can also show warning if I need to do some actions. Now it's gone because I turned updater off. And it also shows the progress of my daily deliveries. So let's take a look how this is done. So if I go to my Home Assistant app configuration, watch. So here is my complication, corner gauge text. Let's see what's in here. So first, leading text. That's the text that appears right before the gauge, and I have just simple static emoji here showing a parcel. Then second one is actually my main 3 emoji field. So this is called outer text, and here I'm showing Apple Watch people at home sensor state, home mode sensor state, and home health alert sensor state. So these are the 3 emojis that can appear in my complication. Finally, trailing text is the text that appears after the gauge. So this is number of packages I expect to receive. And the gauge itself showing packages progress sensor state. So all the sensors and actually like all the emoji are being calculated on the backend. And this complication just renders. As you have seen, like I struggled typing quite a bit, so it's much better to keep most of the logic on the server and put very simple, just like basically rendering of the sensor state on the client. One thing that you need to pay attention to, that here actually between this closing bracket and the next open bracket, there is no space and no new line, even though it looks like there is one. This is very important, so all these emojis should go one after another without any spaces or new lines, otherwise rendering can get broken. So let's take a look at sensor implementation, but first I will need to say a couple of words about my project structure so it's clear what's going on here. So the way I structured my project, so I have separated my automations and sensors into a bunch of different files. So here from config YAML, I'm including files in the config sensor dev folder. And in this folder, I have different sensors. So there are sensors from time-date integration, from other integrations, but the ones that we are interested in is template. So all the sensors used here are implemented as a template sensor. And template sensors are in order sourced from template entities folder. So here is template entities folder, and here is a definition of various template sensors I have, and these are my Apple Watch ones. So Apple Watch people at home sensor basically looks at who is home. So if I'm at home, if my wife is at home, then 2 people emoji is being shown. If it's only me, then 1 person emoji is shown. If this is only her, then another person is shown. Otherwise, the house is locked, so door lock is shown. Then Apple Watch home mode. So I'm looking into my home mode state that is defined elsewhere. And then if this is morning, coffee is shown. If it's day, sun is shown. If it's evening, moon, night is ZZZ. For the home health alert, so if my home health is in the attention needed state, then warning sign is being shown, otherwise it's empty, so no emoji will be shown at all. And finally, my package sensor. So here I have, so I'm looking into my mail Amazon packages. There is a certain additional condition here. If I have no packages delivered, then that's a bit of a special case. Otherwise, I basically compute, I divide packages delivered by total packages expected. And that's it. You can find the link to my GitHub project in the video description, so you can check out and even copy paste code if needed. And please share the complications that you build. I would be very interested to see what kind of information you're putting on your Apple Watch.